Good morning and welcome to Love Every Moment, coming to you today from Glen, New Hampshire. Today's verse is a true climax of the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5:44. It says, "But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." Wow. This really sets apart Christians from non-Christians. If Christians can truly love our enemies, it's just so unhuman to do such a thing. It really makes a difference. There's not much more that we can do to show ourselves to be true Christians than to love our enemies. And also, I can say that it can't come from me. I don't have it within me. It has to come from Him. And that's, again, what shows that it has to be a true Christian that can truly love his enemy. Now, it does say, pray for those who persecute you, and I have to smile a little bit because we Christians can sometimes be a little bit sneaky, and we might pray for our enemies, but it's really some sort of insult that's cloaked in the guise of being a prayer. We might say, "Oh God, please bless that stupid boss of mine so that he won't be such a nitwit." That's not a prayer for his good. That's, again, an insult cloaked in a prayer. This needs to be a true prayer for their good, like when Stephen prayed for those who were stoning him to death and said, "Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing." Now, in last week's video, and I have the link up here, it said, you heard that was said, "You shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy." And I took us to the parable of the Good Samaritan, where someone had asked Jesus, "What is the greatest commandment?" And Jesus said, "Love God and love your neighbor as yourself." And someone asked, "Well, who's my neighbor?" And Jesus launches into this parable where he shows that a Samaritan saw a Jew that was harmed. And now, normally Jews shun the Samaritans and treat them poorly and are truly, enemies to these Samaritans. But the Samaritan spent his money, spent his time, spent his efforts, and really went the extra mile to care and show love for this hurt Jewish person. And basically, he's saying your neighbor is your enemy. So if we truly love our enemies, they might even become our neighbors. They might become our best friend, or at least become friendlier to us. And who knows, maybe they'll even join the team. Wouldn't that be great? Well, also, let's look at a cross-reference, which we actually looked at before. It's in the Beatitudes, Matthew 5:10. It says, "Blessed are those who have been persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." And remember in that video, and I have the link up here, I had suggested that the kingdom of heaven is that mindset where we get to see things the way God sees them, where we desire what He desires and love the way He loves and speak the things that He would have us speak. And we get that by being persecuted. Really? Let's keep reading. It says, "Blessed are you when people insult you and persecute you and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me." Wow, that's really weird. It says, "Rejoice and be glad, for your reward in heaven is great. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." So I'm going to suggest something pretty unusual. I'm going to suggest that we should have our enemies to thank, because number one, they're giving us someone to love, an opportunity to love. Number two, they're giving us a challenge, and it is a challenge to love someone who's not very lovable. Number three, we get to see more through God's eyes. Number four, we get to show an example of what it is to be a Christian. And that's probably the best of all. Our Christianity will increase, we'll become better Christians when we get to exercise this muscle of loving our enemies, because it drives us to depend on God. I don't have that kind of love within me. It has to come from Him. But if we love every moment, we're going to love every moment. I'm your average wretch, and I hope you have a good week.